Hello there and welcome to CNR Extra here on CCTV. We are coming to you live from our studios at number 5 Ola Hansen Lane, Tesano, Accra. My name is Philip Latte. Coming up. Human Security Department of the National Security construct mechanized borehole and rehabilitate one old ones for residents of Dodoma Ahiaso in the whole West District of the Volta region following City News' report on worrying situation.
CCTV was in our midst, and then they carried this message out. The national security people got the news and then came to our aid.
Residents of Loye in the Ewutu West District of the Central Region expressed concern over deterioration of road in areas due to operations of stone quarry companies in their community.
Quarry, there's a 5 hour around. A quarry to class Abubamana, taxi room, Nitmiaba, a hound for our 4 near a year for a hospital and at home.
Local fishermen at Teshi demand urgent action against beach pollution, in which they bemoan as negatively affecting their livelihoods as a result of dwindling fish stock caused by the activity. And later on CNR Extra, students of Amfoega Senior High School in the North Dai district of the Volta region faced with the challenge of inadequate infrastructure leading to the displacement of students from classrooms. Once again, you're welcome to CNR Extra here on CCTV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comment via WhatsApp line 0204447033. We're also streaming live on YouTube, CCTV. You can join us there. Hansen German, you're welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well.
It's a new week.
Yeah, it's a new week, a good one. It's a sad one for some of us who are Manchester United fans because we had
over the weekend
live through Manchester City winning the treble. But of course, I mean, Pep deserves it, but it's a sad one for some of us. But yeah, it's been an interesting weekend, I must say.
Well, let's bring the very first story. And the Human Security Department of the Ministry of National Security has constructed some mechanized boreholes for residents of Dodoma, so in the whole West District. Let's bring you that insight.
Following a compelling report by City News on the arduous work of water endured by residents of Dodoma Awiase in the whole West District of the Volta region, a ray of hope has finally emerged. In response to the community's outcry, the Human Security Department under the Ministry of National Security has taken prompt action to alleviate the suffering. The department has constructed a new mechanized borehole and rehabilitated the old ones, bringing a much-needed respite to the dire situation. City News' Volta regional correspondent Desmond Salasiago provides further details in this report.
For years, the residents of Dodoma Awiaso, a community of over 1,000 people, have had to endure the grueling task of walking long distances to fetch water from a stream. The unhygienic conditions of the stream pose significant health risks, especially to pregnant women and young children. Waterborne diseases such as cholera and typhoid fever were rampant, and the burden of fetching water disproportionately fell on the shoulders of the most vulnerable members of the community. However, a report by City News shed light on the desperate situation and caught the attention of the Human Security Department under the Ministry of National Security. Recognizing the urgency and severity of the issue, the department swiftly intervened to provide a lasting solution. They constructed a new mechanized borehole equipped with modern technology to ensure a clean and safe water supply. Furthermore, several old boreholes in the area were rehabilitated, guaranteeing a sustainable water source for the community. After the mechanized borehole was handed over to the community, school children shared their gratitude in interviews with City News. They expressed their joy at no longer having to embark on long journeys in search of water.
First, we used to walk from our various homes to the end of the town, of the community over there. So we are late when we come to school every morning. So we don't even finish all our studies before we close. So we find it difficult when it comes to our water situation. So now that we have the borehole, early this morning we just walked and fetch our water, so now we are happy.
Togbe Blast to the feet, the right-wing chief of the Dodome Ariasu community, acknowledged that their major challenge had been addressed following the media publication. However, he called on benevolent individuals to provide the community with a storage facility for the water.
Over the years, we've been suffering from potable drinking water, as you rightly stated. We organize, I would say the youth has organized a deba, of which a little contribution was made. The TV. City TV was in our midst, and then they carried this message up. The national security people got the news and then came to our aid. They came with their team. They came and then gave us a borehole, mechanized one. The mechanized one, which is the one that they themselves have bought, and then existing one was also mechanized in addition. I would say, as at now, we've got a very clean drinking water to extend the water to other areas in the town. So we will appeal to you, whosoever will come to our aid, to provide us with these pressure pipes so that the trench will be dug and then extend to other areas. Also, the reservoir, that's the poly tank that we are holding, is only 8,500 liters, which is not fully adequate for the storage. So we will appeal to other benevolent associations to come to our aid and then help us.
A youth leader in the community who spoke to City News highlighted that the construction and rehabilitation of the boreholes will significantly improve the health conditions of children, women, especially pregnant women.
We, the youth of the community, decided to implement a self-help project by rehabilitating the water system here, mechanize the boreholes and be able to rehabilitate the existing ones so we can provide our people with potable drinking water. Help as a media house, we were able to carry our concerns to the entire nation and beyond. And thankfully, national security decided to come to our aid. We are very much grateful for their intervention. It was very fast, and we want to express our appreciation to the entire national security team. Definitely, this will go a long way to help my school children in this community, my pregnant women here who would have water, and of course, we know there are waterborne diseases all over. So this definitely will improve the health situation as well of the people in this community.
The project coordinator at the Human Security Department under the Ministry of National Security, in an interview with City News, emphasized that the new strategy of the national security focuses on addressing human needs. The coordinator expressed hope that the construction of the mechanized boreholes would effectively resolve the water challenges faced by the community. Additionally, the event was used as an opportunity to educate the community about the See Something, Say Something campaign.
Under the new national security strategy that was implemented somewhere earlier this year, it's said to be more human-centric, so we're focusing more on the human needs. We saw what they needed. The challenge was basically with water, so we just had to come in and then construct new boreholes, mechanize the old ones, and also refurbish the old ones that they had. We had to flush things out and then basically make sure it was working. To be said, national security is all about cooperation, and then since we are moving towards a human-centric era, we're trying to make the humans a focal point and then assess their needs and then come through with intervention programs to, give them some form of dignity. You're not trying to make anyone feel left out or not trying to make anyone feel marginalized, and we can all enjoy the peace that we have in this country.
Residents here in Dodoma Awiaso in the Whole West District of the Volta region are expressing their satisfaction following the rehabilitation of some mechanized boreholes here in the community after it was reported that they have to walk some kilometers before accessing water at a stream which is sometimes unhygienic for their usage. They are, however, appealing to benevolent people to come to their aid again and provide them with a much bigger polytank to be able to store these waters. Reporting for City News from the Dodoma Awiaso community, I'm Desmond Salasiago.
So that's a good one there. These are the residents of that particular community will now have access to potable water, and that is the most important thing. I always say that if we have agencies, departments, individuals, NGOs doing this in almost all the communities that are having issues accessing potable water, the issue of we having communities not having access to potable water, we are having water that is not drinkable or has some health conditions will be a thing of the past.
I mean, it's a laudable idea coming in from the national security. Again, if you look at national security, it cuts across a lot of areas, and sometimes when there are agitations about fair share of the national cake, it can't be an avenue for people to engage in activities that will be contrary to the ideal national security vision or aim of the country. And so if the National Security Ministry, by virtue of their CSR, are able to identify some of these things and then address them while we wait on central government to do the needful, I think it's okay. And it also goes on to other agencies of the government and other civil society organizations and NGOs who can play a part in making sure that for certain reasons for which there may be agitations, if they can extend a helping hand, they will do so. Now, if you look at the Whole West District, in 2021, the census that was organized, it emerged that about 97.9% of houses that were surveyed had access to potable water, either through pipe-on water or sachet water. And even though most of the household had to go outside their homes to access water, they would need, it was always within a 1 kilometer radius, and then the report put it about, they have about 30 minutes to be able to get water for their households. But the situation of Dodoma appeared to be different because residents, as the report indicated, had to sometimes trek for 2 kilometers
before they can get water.
That meant that if those who were using 1 kilometer needed about 30 minutes to substantially get access to water, that means that people in Dodoma will need more time. And you heard the students. And in our communities, it is the young children who is their primary responsibility
to go and fetch water. You have to fetch water before you go to school.
That means that most of these students will spend a considerable amount of time fetching water, filling the tanks within their homes. They may get to school late, they will get to school tired, and it will affect teaching and learning. And so this initiative that has been taken by the national security is important and need to be lauded. But we also need to call upon the Ghana Water Company Limited, the Community Water and Sanitation Agencies, and the various MMDAs who are directly in charge in ensuring access to water to make sure that other communities who do not have access to potable water are given this. Because day in, day out, we report on some of these situations. And it's interesting that in the 21st century and in 2023, about 30 or 31 years of the Fourth Republic, we still face some of these very simple problems.
Rightly so. So the concerns of the residents of Dodo Nyanhwiaso have been dealt with. Let's see whether that of residents of Loye in the Ewutu Senya West District will be dealt with. They are in the central region. They are complaining about the deterioration of their road.
Residents of Loye in the Ewutu Senya West District of the region have expressed growing concerns over the operations of stone quarry companies in the community. They claim that these quarry activities have led to the deterioration of the roads, rendering them impassable. The impact on the community is severe, particularly for pregnant women and children who have no choice but to rely on tricycles for transportation during emergencies. Our correspondent in the central region is Calvis Tete.
Ewutu Loye, located in the Ewutu Senya West District of the Central Region, is a farming community situated near the municipal capital and the bustling business center of Kaswa. However, the area faces numerous challenges, including a lack of clean drinking water and basic amenities. One significant challenge in the enclave is sanitation. The community has become a dumping site for waste management companies, leading to the indiscriminate waste disposal without proper treatment. Consequently, a pervasive stench engulfs the community, exacerbating the living conditions of residents. While Ewutu Loye is home to several stone quarry companies, their operations have had detrimental effects on local roads. The constant dust from these activities not only makes it difficult for residents to keep their surroundings clean, but also poses a health risk. Moreover, the deteriorated road conditions create difficulties for transportation. Residents, especially pregnant women and children and the sick, face worrisome situations as they have no choice but to rely on tricycles during emergencies. This mode of transportation is not only inconvenient, but also compromises their safety and well-being. Some residents share their challenges with City News.
Me kochana fu kubisa bifu no omuni omo ye adwuma na omo fi Loye ha na nkasa kubisa omo say highways fu ma omo kwan say omo yakwan nti se omo tumi aye bibia omo fo sika no koma highways fu ansa na highways fu abutuma ba yakwan so ama ekwan na da honom saa ye stone quarry be say 5 hour around ekwan na tutu say abobra mo na taxi mi nko na etumi aba ha nkofo awofo ne ayarefo ado mu twem ko hospital na de home
ufa moto edi gbogbo sa ba ko sisi na ya oya uko happen na ba no na so ka no sisi kura che ga me amoa wa ka mpoti mu utiso a se ka re ko no eri bia na we mo nso na moto ndi de enye kura edi ya se aban ye panicho yankopo ndi panicho o mo dia me boy.
Commercial drivers who utilize the APRA to Loye stretch face similar challenges as the poor condition of the road often leads to accidents.
Honestly, they can't say to me spare parts. Yes, sir, a ban of May and because you can't wait, or your middle would abandon in some the matter of Uncle, but the court, no, driving for one, Mama school one. Oh, we should say, shall we share we keep a cast by a folk or workshop, or car, or what spare part, sharps, knee, or belly, and then look and count. Yeah, bare moment. No, we keep a car by a folk. Okay, so I got a part. They will let's see where you see
how they play. Yeah, below every day be a question. A question, a question. A major road from head to Ofanko. So if it's a traffic crash, a question. Come to me, we are more fair or pay Kuma be Pia. And say a question. I am Monchimon Cancoan, yet the Bienam Susa. Somebody came to me and your coin, company or question, some to trouble me because only a scabby question.
Nana James Bote, the Odikro of Awutuloye, reveals that he has repeatedly alerted the authorities to the pressing issues, but to no avail. He appeals to government for support in fixing their dilapidated road.
First, in a car, quantity be na Chinese Basono, no boy, Quan Mai, says the Quana say. Say, what do they be never market no caswakra, ni in your car, did they go boom, Nicapa Boso kind, and Nabo Yebi, or Babo Pen, no Abejo, and son when you walk. You try and a mom and cry with him could do Cape Coast. One, my church of home crata, or Bianca and home. First, you say, if he DC Adams Nunu, no, I would to only a jazz and go to name him or Bible share, no Otty, or when one maybe you know where you know Quackaswa. I be DC, your baby, or Biado, or people to Nancy Loya.
So in the Lawyer Township or community, there are a number of issues there. Issue of potable drinking water is stated in the report, sanitation, issue of bad roads, and these bad roads caused by the big trucks that move to the quarry site, and all.
In a debate within the academic circles when it comes to exploitation and exploration of resources, because there's that evident economic benefits that you're supposed to get, and there's also the other aspect of its impact on the environment. If you take quarrying for instance, what happens is that as your extraction of rocks and usually materials that are necessary for building, and if you look at the rate at which our cities are growing, urbanization is catching up, some of these materials have become very necessary and essential. And there have been studies that even indicate that some of these quarry sites do not even have the capacity to give out the materials that are needed for construction activities. And so you get a view that once communities are opening up, more construction is ongoing, these are essential materials that we will need. But there's also the other angle that on the face value, the topography of the land, the geomorphology of it, the landscape will change because the land will be degraded. There will be some form of excavation. Sometimes they even use some explosives on the land. Aside that, there have been studies to even show that even people who work in these quarry sites are prone to certain diseases, certain respiratory diseases. Some form of deaths linked to respiratory diseases have been linked to activities such as quarrying and sandblasting and the rest. A study in about 2018 in the Volta region, for instance, indicated that some of the people who were interviewed who work at a quarry site indicated that they earn between 300 to 600 Ghana cedis in a week. Now, if you take 300 cedis in a week, that's about 1,200 cedis in a month. Philip, bring it down to the normal Ghanaian and the average Ghanaian, 1,200 Ghana to a household. It's a bit substantial, even though it's not enough. But if you look at what other people are earning, 1,200 cedis, and so the economic impact cannot be downplayed, and also even the impact on the local economy. Talk about the people who are working there. It's a bit more manpower based, so a lot of people will be employed. They'll buy from the gobe seller, they'll buy from the kege seller, they'll buy from the
doesn't move
seller.
away from the pollution that is happening in the area.
So I'm trying to put the two together, and so these are the advantages that we get from it. Aside that, you see that the trucks that are used, even if the road has been constructed, the trucks that are used are heavy trucks, and sometimes we do not construct the road purposely for those kind of trucks, and so the stress on the road becomes too much, and even some few months and sometimes years after construction, it begins to deteriorate. I've already talked about the pollution and its impact on the health hazard. And so it's a dilemma for me. But the situation, I think what can solve the situation is that when we have areas where there are these extractive operations, what governments and these bodies can do is to make sure that you compensate the ills with developmental projects. And I'm not sure the people will complain that much if there are good roads, there's good hospital, protective equipment are used by the workers. They are doing it sustainably to try as much as possible to reduce
we don't
the impact.
see much development in extractive communities.
And that is why you would always get that agitation. Because why, and sometimes for some of these places, perhaps it could even be a farming place for some of the residents that they will have to give up for these activities to take place. And so if you are giving all this and you are not compensating it with the requisite development, it becomes very problematic.
Another argument is also that the quarry site or companies may be there and the individuals came to meet it by way of residing in that community.
That is a fair point to make, but it doesn't in any way override the idea that when you operate within a certain community and you are getting money out of your operations, and your operations have environmental effects and an extension, but it appears to be a necessity that we have to deal with, that it has to be compensated with the requisite development. I mean, mostly when these conversations coming up, you get people compare places like Johannesburg with Obuasi and the rest, and you don't even look at Obuasi, look at Johannesburg.
In recent time, also the issue of the non-development in the area led to whatever the youth went to do, asking for employment.
And then
all that.
The youth had to encroach. I mean, this is no justification for what he did. But sometimes, if you're an indigent of a place, and then there are these opportunities available, but you are struggling to get employment, you may be forced to do certain things that are not allowed. So the point I want to make from this is that government takes taxes from these companies. At least sometimes there should be some attention being given to such communities to make sure that the people can obviously see the benefits that they are getting from some of these companies that operate. Road, and even the quarry company will even need these roads to ply to undertake their activities and to carry the materials that they extract. And so it is only understandable enough that the people will demand this. And I can only hope and call on relevant authorities, i.e. government, the MMDS in that community, and also authorities of the companies that operate within there, to work towards giving a facelift to the community. From the visuals we saw, it looks as though these
looks like a deserted community.
we can't be allowing some of these things.
So as you destroy, as the quarry companies, as you destroy and make money to get your so that at least you can also have the chance of going about your day-to-day. Of Dai district of the Volta region, faced with challenges of inadequate infrastructure leading to the displacement of students from classrooms. Kindly stay with us, we're back with more stories.
Are you ready. Put on your dancing shoes and join Reverend PJ Marquis Praise on the 6th floor with a live recording of his second album titled Toda. Ministering alongside will be Pastor Edwin Atodatson, Pastor Isaiah Fosukwachi Jr., Perez Music, Joyful Way Incorporated, and Monarchs Praise. Venue, National Theatre. Date, Saturday the 17th of June 2023. Time, 5 p.m. Gates open at 4:30 p.m. sharp. Rate, absolutely free. Anticipate a powerful time in God's presence. Don't miss for any reason. Be there.
Welcome back. Let's bring you some more stories. And fisher folk are complaining about the pollution at the various beaches in Accra that is affecting dwindling fish stock. Let's bring you that insight.
Now, the issue of dwindling fish stock in Ghana calls for urgent measures to combat the growing problems of beach pollution. Local fishermen are deeply concerned about the detrimental impact this pollution is having on their livelihoods. Our reporter in Accra, Philip Neil Lati, brings us an in-depth report on the matter.
In the ocean, plastic debris injures and kills fishes, seabirds, and marine mammals. Plastic pollution has a direct and deadly effect on the sea and the fishes within. This has been the challenge of most fishermen in fishing communities. The fishermen have on several occasions lamented how this is having a toll on their operations.
Can you morning again? What are you not feel fair? I feel war farm. The banshom. What you want again? Or you know where or shabola stone, Piotr Robani can get what you rob in was shiny. I come point a blank water one show. The uncle may have where JT wish. Yafin black away and Yafin Bla. Roy Bawana warranty. I'm a lock way. Connie can ball and chow, new in near Yan Shonin and Asana. But at least go on my kucha. Kuna feel na anya sumo sa na nyansa wofa ana ka ro kwasa na obra fe jo ani ba anya ba nshom ke ba nshom ye lo na cheke lo ya na le bola na che e boti o mi egbe olo ye nu ni otiji ni gba wona jo otiji ni gba ra jo ti wo ra ko sha lo wa wo lo e jo ke mi gogo miti ke mi feji ke ni bi e ko me 50 wo ya ji ke ni bi pin lo la so ti wo ni bo la so to ato lo ko ba shian e ko ke jo ke ni bi e ba won pa amalo e pai Koni eye ko han wo ye jo egbe fangbe aloke ye wo wa fo ni afia wo ye no pe ni gba wo no ti
ya ba du bola bo e ne se create mo 20 na wana low create enyo pe create low create enyo na wana bola create 20 years tachi mo bin tachi ni wo pa 5 wo so si wo pa 5 wo kan si wo pa 5 ahun ka ma ge bola je tesi man no ni jo tesi man e se noko si many yo keje lole gbani ese kenya lole gbani ese kenya na me from shai wall ababu ajo en kotoku keni mo ni ba me bon gota ke jo gota mi.
The Sustainable Development Goal 14 talks about this issue. It is about conserving and sustainably using the oceans, seas, and marine resources. Healthy oceans and sea are essential to human existence and life on Earth. They cover 70% of the planet and provide food, energy, and water. The ocean absorbs about 1/4 of the world's annual carbon dioxide emissions, thereby mitigating climate change and alleviating its impact. It is essential to conserve and sustainably use them. Yet, human activities is endangering the ocean. In a bid to address this menace, government, individuals and agencies have a role to play.
We are not just coming here to clean. We are in a way telling the public, educating the community, creating awareness about the importance of keeping our ocean clean. And so we are not just coming here to clean, but as we are leading by example, we are informing all Ghanaians, creating awareness that we need to, conserve our ocean, our beaches, so that we can, it will not affect the food security in the future. I would like to use this medium to entreat all Ghanaians, especially the community members, to be conscious of how they trash filth around and all that. Wherever you are trashing your filth or where you are dumping a refuse, it will end up in the ocean. It will end up in the sea. And so let's be conscious of how we just trash filth around and all that to prevent rubbish entering the ocean.
It is our responsibility to keep our beaches clean as part of measures to save our ocean and also to help address the issue of dwindling fish stock in this country. Reporting for City News, my name is Philip Latte. So this is a global issue, not only in Ghana, because it's been complained about worldwide, and also the issue of dwindling fish stock is not only in Ghana. But when it comes to plastic waste in Ghana, we've had conversation on the banning of the usage of plastic in this country. We don't know where it's gotten to, but it looks like individuals have a role to play in this particular issue, because at the end of the day, when we pick our waste from our various homes, and the fisher folk were also complaining that some of the guys who come to your various homes to pick the rubbish or the refuse, they don't particularly take it to a dumping site, but rather it ends in the sea. So what is the way forward to ensure that this issue is resolved in order not for government all the efforts being put into ensuring that the issue with dwindling fish stock is resolved? We don't get to the final stage of this particular issue, but rather we are always going backwards when it comes to addressing the issue of fish stock in this country.
I think first we need to tell ourselves shame that we cannot maintain our own sanitation laws internally, because from the report clearly there's a bit of internal pollution that is contributing to this. And we have every sovereignty and every power is within our internal space to make sure that what is not supposed to end up in the sea ends up there. And so if we are not able to address that, there's no excuse whatsoever for a group to identify that for a greater percentage of the pollution of the sea that is apportioned to us is as a result of pollution internally. And we've talked about the issue about waste separation and proper waste management and even recycling of waste. And we pay lip service to this, and it's high time we take concrete steps to make sure that we address this situation. I mean, elsewhere they are battling with issues with other countries rather polluting either their territorial seas or their contiguous zones, and they are enforcing their sanitation laws within those zones. I mean, if we are not able to put our own residents and citizens in check and put measures to make sure that that plastic waste doesn't end up in the sea, then how efficient will we be when another state or a private vessel dumps oil within our territorial sea or our contiguous zone? How then will we be able to battle some of these things? And so it's important that it's a multifaceted affair, as I've always indicated on this platform. There's the issue about the destructive fishing practices, where the trawlers and the rest are not going according to the required processes when it comes to fishing. But also the issue about sanitation is very important.
But also with our various beaches, looking at how those places can be transformed to become tourist sites, and also the government or the country can rake revenue as a result of this. Don't you think that it's time for stakeholders to sit down and find a lasting solution to this problem? Because the issue of plastic is what we are talking about here. When you go to the various beaches, you would find out that we have second-hand clothing that have landed there. You have trees that have landed there. You would have plastic that have landed there. Isn't there a way to create jobs for the youth, ensure that the youth go to the various beaches or the various landing sites, get the waste off, and also it's being dealt with communities that, let's say, high-rising communities that have their refuse coming down to the beach, and whoever is found wanting disposing of refuse indiscriminately is dealt with. Recently, we saw that of their chief or an individual within one of the Ga communities. He had to just dump refuse into rainwater that was flowing, and I think it's something that is very uncalled for. But they must crack the whip so that we can get to the final solution of this issue.
I mean, laws should be employed, should be implemented strictly, and what you're saying is one way to look at it. We also have to avert your mind to the fact that you have internal waters joining the sea, and so you have major river bodies, some flowing as far from the eastern region, from the western region, and moves and joins the sea at various points. Now, if there's pollution at that end, definitely that pollution cannot just be stopped at the beaches. And so it's a wholesale approach that we need to make sure that across the country, we are doing the right thing when it comes to sanitation. Are we segregating our waste? Are we making sure that plastics are here, organic waste is here? Are we sure that when we go to the dumping site, we know where we are going to send our plastics, we know where we are going to send our organic, we know which of the waste we can recycle. And so that even if when you take the waste from our homes, nobody just dumps it on the motorway.
And I think Zumla is doing well with that, with the segregation. It says that the education has to be intensified, and also when it comes to individuals, also ensuring that they are playing their role very well.
There's a lot to deal with when it comes to human behavior. I remember when I was in the University of Ghana, there were bins colored, so plastic waste, organic waste, but somebody will see plastic waste and put organic waste into plastic waste. And so, I mean, there's a human aspect to the behavioral aspect that we also need to work on.
Well, so congratulations to Kwaika for ensuring that at least they embarked on that exercise to clean the beaches. But away from the story, let's take you to the Volta region, where students of Amfoiga Senior High School in the North Dai district of the Volta region, they are faced with challenges of inadequate infrastructure that is leading to the displacement of students from classrooms.
Students of Amfoiga Senior High School in the North Dai district are facing the challenge of inadequate infrastructure, leading to the displacement of students from classrooms to accommodate a staff common room, library and ICT lab. The students are appealing to authorities to complete projects that were started 11 years ago and construct new buildings to ensure smooth academic activities. Desmond Selassie Ago is our correspondent in the Volta region. He visited the school and provides more details in this report.
Established 58 years ago, the Amfoiga Senior High School currently has a population of over 1,500 students and about 150 teaching staff. However, the school continues to grapple with a severe infrastructural deficit. Insufficient dormitories and classrooms pose challenges in accommodating all boarding students, while teachers have resorted to using classrooms as staff common rooms due to the lack of proper administrative spaces. Some teachers at Amfoiga Senior High School explained to City News that the decision to convert classrooms into a staff common room was as a result of the inadequate infrastructure within the school. The situation is far from ideal, but it was a necessary measure considering the changing weather conditions.
Where we are sitting, it used to be a classroom block, but due to challenges, we have to convert the place into staff common room. And as a result, other classrooms have also been converted to ICT lab, library, and the school clinic in order to meet other challenges as well. This has actually affected our staff and students' enrollment, and as a result, we are facing challenges as far as infrastructure is concerned. And our major challenge is the administration block under construction. And we hope if it is completed, most of those classrooms will be released for the students to use, and it will minimize the effects of the infrastructural needs of the school.
The school's dining hall, which serves over 1,500 students daily, is also affected by the inadequate infrastructure. A new dining hall complex that was started years ago remains unfinished, forcing students to eat in batches and stand while being served their meals. The students expressed that the infrastructural challenges are negatively impacting their academic activities and are appealing to authorities for assistance in overcoming these obstacles.
Looking at the teachers taking over our various classroom blocks as their staff common room, which has made students stay in uncompleted buildings to carry on their academic work, which is not helping. And currently, one of the major problems that we are facing too is the water crisis. Sometimes, because of this problem, we eat into the normal class lessons hours, which affects us a lot. We, the final year students, we need to come to school early, study, and then keep on moving. But here lies the case, there will be no water. We have to wait till water comes in before we take our bath and come to the classroom to study, which is affecting us very well.
In my school, we have 2 dining halls, but one is uncompleted. The government and many non-governmental organizations have promised to help in the completion of the project, but till date, over decades, they've not done that. So I'm pleading with the government to come to our aid so that maybe by next year we can have a new dining hall or assembly hall completed.
I find it difficult when it's raining. We are overpopulation. People need to wait first session for the other session. Since I came to this school, see the new dining hall is under construction, but still it's still like that. If it will benefit or if it's to help us complete the dining hall for the students, so feel free and enjoy their meals. Thank you.
During the school speech and prize giving day, Headmaster Albert Dodo in his address highlighted the ongoing infrastructure challenges faced by the school. Despite numerous appeals, improvements have not yet been seen. He mentioned that the completion of the ongoing administration block will provide teachers with a comfortable common room and help reclaim their converted classrooms. The headmaster spoke with City News about the issue, emphasizing the need for assistance to address the school's infrastructural challenges.
Our current student population is 1,910, and we continue to rely on dining hall shed that is provided by the PTA so many years ago, and the space is not enough for dining, and it prevents or it impedes smooth academic work because the students spend a lot of time in the dining hall, and by the time they get back to classroom for lesson, we have done a lot outside which will not augur well as an academic institution. Currently, we are using 6 classrooms as offices. So if this project is completed, we may be able to retrieve as many as 6 classrooms, and there will not be the need for the government to come and then build a new classroom for us for now. So we are appealing to the stakeholders, especially the district assembly and the government, to come to our aid and then complete the 2 major projects for us as soon as possible.
In an interview with City News, the municipal chief executive for North Dai, Edmond Kujuata, assured that the government is working towards completing the abandoned project.
I'm not oblivious of the needs of this school. Right from 2017, I've been clear about the number of infrastructural deficits and the other tools that the school needs in order to reach the level that we all aspire, that is to achieve academic excellence. And so the first thing I had to do is to even make sure that we have a 3-unit classroom block that's just adjacent the 12-unit classroom block, the giant block that we see behind us and all that. And then of course, if you look on our left, we have this administration block that is ongoing, and then where the program itself is taking place is the dining hall complex, very big project which started of course because before I came, but it was nowhere near here, and then we make sure that we started at least using it. It's not complete, and then we got to finish it. Indeed, if you ask the headmaster, anybody who knows the 4 walls of the school will tell you that the completion of these 2 projects alone will be enough to solve the infrastructure deficit.
So the concern of students and also the management of Amfoega Senior High School is for them to get adequate infrastructure. But it looks like infrastructure deficit is in almost every school when it takes senior high school to consideration or bring it on board. And it looks like the SRC, well, there's old students, the NGOs, or because government can do everything, management and all that, they all have to play a role when it comes to this. I know some of the schools, the old students are really doing well when it comes to provision of infrastructure. I agree. There's a need to rally support from all relevant stakeholders who can help. The primary responsibility falls on government. And we need to keep it as simple as that. There's been an increment in access to education, courtesy free senior high school, but without the requisite infrastructure, it becomes very difficult to get the quality that we need. I mean, if students are not getting good boarding facilities, they are not having ICT labs, the dining hall that they go in for their lunch and breakfast and supper is in a poor condition. It's very problematic, and it's important that government and various government works towards addressing it, and various agencies. But of course, we can also talk about what old boys associations or old girls association and old students associations and PTAs can do. Now, the issue of PTAs has become very interesting because previously PTA dues was mandatory. Now it is not, and so it is more of a moral appeal to the parents to pay, and so the mobilization of funds also becomes a problem. But these associations also can help in making sure that students, when they go to school, will have the requisite infrastructure to be able to access not just education, but quality education. Well, rightly so. So that is the concern of Foyenga Senior High School. I'm sure other institutions or schools will be having similar concerns. Government should address that issue. Away from that, the National Insurance Commission and the Ghana National Fire Service, they will begin an exercise very soon regarding the insurance or fire insurance of commercial buildings.
Insurance Commission and the Ghana National Fire Service have issued a notice stating their intention to intensify monitoring and enforcing laws regarding fire insurance of commercial buildings. The move comes in response to the non-compliance of some commercial building owners who fail to insure their properties as mandated by law. Reporting from the Ashanti region, City News correspondent Hafiz Tijani provides further details.
According to officials from the National Insurance Commission, owners of commercial buildings, including hotels and restaurants, are legally required to have compulsory fire insurance policies. However, many of these property owners are disregarding this regulation. To address this issue, a task force consisting of officials from the National Insurance Commission and the Ghana National Fire Service recently conducted inspections of various commercial facilities in Kumasi. They have vowed to enforce the laws and ensure compliance. Dennis Farouk Dramani, the Ashanti Regional Manager of the National Insurance Commission, explains the measures being taken to ensure that building owners adhere to the regulations.
This is the nature of the certificate. And so when we get to the premises of the facility, what the first thing we do is to inspect that this certificate is actually displayed at their premises. If it is not displayed and we interrogate and realize that they don't have it at all, then what we do is to give them a letter and give them a grace period of 2 weeks to make sure that they do the insurance policy with any reputable insurance company in Ghana and give us a copy for our records. The law mandates us as a commission to arrest defaulters. And so when we come to your premises, the first time we remind you, the second time we remind you, the third time if you come and you have not done it yet, the task force has the right and the mandate to arrest and prosecute such defaulters. And so I will want to plead and caution all those that we have visited that do not have it. We have given them letters already. We shall be coming back. At our third visit, if they have not still done it, then of course we will be taking some action against them. You and I know what has happened in Ghana in the year 2023. We have over 2,000 fire incidents all over the country, at public places, at commercial property premises, and all of that. Now, the issue is that when there is such an incident and there is fire and there is no insurance in place, what happens to the owner and the property? And the worst aspect of it is that for facilities like this, people come here day in and day out to pass the night and do legal business. And so when somebody gets injured within your premises and you do not have an insurance in place, then it means that you, the owner, will have to be liable for whatever damages and injury that the person will have sustained.
The officials maintain their commitment to pursue those who fail to comply with the laws and hold them accountable.
So we are really bent on enforcing this particular section of the law in this year of 2023, so that at least as many as we can will be able to do the insurances to protect their properties and then their customers. This is our first visit. We will come again. Second reminder, our third time we are coming, if the person hasn't done it, we come along with the police and we have to arrest and prosecute. And so when we come like this, we normally give a notice of 2 weeks to make sure that you do it. If you don't do it, we come again the next time, the second 2 weeks, we give you that grace period. If you don't do it, the 10th time we are coming, we come along with the police.
The Ghana National Fire Service pledges its unwavering support to the National Insurance Commission in ensuring that all commercial facilities are adequately insured.
It's even an offense for you to build without bringing your plan to the fire service. That's when it comes to public residential accommodations.
So that's very important that you are running a public space. At least you do have some sort of insurance that covers this particular property, i.e. when there is a fire incident there. In recent times, we saw that issue happen at Kejetia, where some of the traders were lamenting that the insurance cover wasn't renewed and that they don't know what comes of that now that they've lost their properties worth millions or billions of cedis in that particular inferno. So I think that is very important. In there, it was stated that over 2,000 fire incidences in public and commercial places just in the year 2023, and we've not even ended the year.
We are just in the second quarter, I think, and you see, incidents like this are incidents that most at times we cannot predict, and these are incidents that nobody expects. Neither do we are able to even predict its impact, and so when avenues exist for you to have some form of buffer and some of support when some of these unfortunate incidents happen, I think it's only in the right place to be under some form of insurance. And I hope that the initiative that has been undertaken by the National Insurance Commission will be sustained. It is a good initiative, but we do not want them to just do it for a day or two and leave it at that. It should be sustained, and there should be structures to always ensure that some of these buildings are insured and their insurances are renewed every time.
Rightly so. So what the National Insurance Commission and also the Ghana National Fire Service are doing is very important when it comes to protecting commercial and public spaces. My name is Philip Nihelati. I did this with Hansen Ajiman. This is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on City TV. Many thanks for your time and keep watching City TV.